I'm going to call this meeting of the Patricia A. Hannaford Regional Technical Career Center together. This is Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. And I'm going to ask the board to introduce themselves, starting with Lorraine.
Lorraine Morris, representing the Addison Central School District.
Steve.
Steve Rooney from Starksboro, representing the Mount Abe Unified School District.
Christina.
Hey everybody, I'm Christina Macklin from Ferrisburg, representing Addison Northwest School District.
Mike.
I got it on mute. Mike McGrath, Addison Northwest.
Thank you. Missy.
Missy Beckwith, Workforce Investment Board.
And I'm Suzanne Buck from ACSD. Pictures keeps going on and off, so that's what I'm looking for. One more board member, but he hasn't joined us yet. So Dana, would you start?
Dana Peterson, Superintendent, Director, Patricia A. Hannaford Regional Technical School District.
Okay.
Did you say Jay?
Yeah.
He's muted.
No, he's not.
Sorry, did you say me, Suzanne?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Sorry, my internet connection's a bit unstable right now. Jay Stetzel, Assistant Director for the Hannaford Career Center.
And then Austin.
Austin Haynes, Business Manager.
Linda.
Linda Barrett, Clerk.
And then would our guests like to introduce themselves? Wendy.
Hi, hi, Wendy Pratt, IB and Curriculum Coordinator at the Career Center.
Denise. Denise. Kelly. Lisa.
Hi, Lisa Rader, Instructor Design and Illustration, the Career Center.
Patrice.
Hi,
Patrice.
Patrice Alexander. Hi, Patrice Alexander, Administrative Assistant.
Gretchen.
Gretchen Bailey, Bookkeeper.
Denise. Brenda.
Hi, I'm Brenda Logie, the School Counseling Coordinator in the School Counseling Office at the Patricia Hannaford Career Center.
And Denise Senesac is with us, but I'm not sure of her exact full title. Denise, can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can. Denise Senesac, School Counseling Office and Adult Ed.
Thank you. I didn't want to leave anything out, so. May I have oh, Aaron? Sorry. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Aaron Townsend, Natural Resource Teacher at the Career Center.
I don't think I missed anyone. The faces and the people keep flipping around. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Moved.
It's been moved by Lorraine to approve the agenda as written. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Mike to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the agenda as noted, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Do we have any comments from our visitors tonight?
Yes, I have one comment. It's about National Technical Honor Society. I know that at this time last year, the school board was very interested in what the progress was on honoring our students. And I just wanted to report happily that we have 31 new students who will be inducted this year into the National Technical Honor Society. And we will also be honoring 8 second-year members who kind of got a little bit ripped off last year, and they're still with us in the Career Center, and they will have a special place in being honored at the ceremony, and also will be involved in conducting the ceremony. This is going to be happening on June 7th at 7 p.m. This is a Monday evening, and it will occur up at North Campus. We're working hard to plan all the details, securing amplification to be able to be heard, with a speaker and microphone. And I'm sure that attendance will be limited. So I wish I could, personally invite every single school board member. I probably will send you an invitation, but please know that attendance will be limited. We may be limiting students to just one guest. This will be live in person, and also working out some kind of a live stream situation. So a lot to work out, but I wanted to let you know it's happening. Invitations have been mailed to homes, and also I'm meeting with the students tomorrow about a lot of the details. We're also going to be doing a community service. It may be a food drive. I'm going to hear what they want to do. Last year we had a food drive all planned, and then of course we got shut down. So stay tuned.
Great, thank you so much, Brenda. And if you can make sure that the board has the link, if it's televised, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Wendy, I think I saw your hand go up.
Yes, I just wanted to give a quick report on IB and to say that there's been some really good momentum. Our PLC work has focused on doing a deep dive into the IB standards and really honing in on that learner profile. And that's going to be our work as we continue on through the first part of next year as we finalize our authorization report. A lot of people are signed up for training, and I have a request in for our required workshop for the staff to happen during pre-service in August. I just wanted to update the board on that good progress.
Great, thank you so very much. Does anyone else have any comments, or? It's hard because all I see for right now is just names. So if you've turned off your video and you don't want your video on, if you make sure you use your Zoom hand if you want to say something, that would be very helpful for me. Thank you. Hearing no more visitor comments, Dana, do we have correspondence?
Yes, we do. We have one article, and it's a letter. So this is a request for an unpaid leave of absence. It's short, so I'll read it. It's from Hayden Thompson, and it says, "Dear Dana Peterson and the HEC board, I'm writing to formally request an unpaid leave of absence, Master Agreement Section 6.4, for all or part of the 2021-2022 school year. In January, I transitioned back from part-time to a full-time role to support the needs of the automotive program and its students. In doing so, I was unable to attend to some personal obligations that were planned for that time. The reason for my leave request is to take care of those lingering needs. I should be able to tie up loose ends in the course of a semester, but leave the length of the unpaid leave to your discretion. A full semester or full year would be much appreciated. Thank you for considering my request, and feel free to reach out with any questions. Regards, Hayden Thompson."
Thank you. And we'll take that
So-
up under action.
That will have to occur under action, yes. Under staffing, I would imagine.
there any other correspondence, Dana, or is that it?
Suzanne, you're fading out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Dana, is that it for correspondence?
Yes, that is all the correspondence that I have.
All right, thank you. Moving into consent agenda. Minutes of April 14th. Did everyone read them? And is there? Okay. Oh, shoot. Missy, do you have the bills with you tonight?
I do. Or
Thank you.
I just have to get back to it. 1 second, please. Are you ready?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Great. So approval of expenditures, May 12, 2021. Building and equipment reserve, 0. General fund, $97,555. Revolving fund, $12,909.56. Makery grant, 0. Payroll, there were 2 separate ones. 4/23/2021 was $39,983.64. Payroll of May 7th, 2021 was $86,838.34.
Great. Thank you, Missy.
You're welcome.
Moving on to policy 2.1, treatment of students. It's an action agenda item. It's a monitoring report.
Yes. Suzanne, I believe that everybody has a copy that they received earlier in the week with respect to all of the policies that we'll be reviewing tonight. I can certainly go over this, but I'm not going to read every single word. Just suffice it to say that I'll go through and hit a couple of the highlights. With respect to not cause or allow conditions, procedures, or decisions that are inequitable, unsafe, untimely, undignified, or unnecessarily intrusive. We go over each year during professional time all of the required trainings for legal protections for our students, including FERPA, Family Educational Right to Privacy. We go over confidentiality and any mandatory reporting. This year, we found the students to be extremely cooperative and supportive of the new guidelines and protocols that we had to put in place. So those were communicated in a timely manner, and we have found great compliance. With respect to the superintendent shall further not elicit information for which there is no clear necessity. Information collected about students is for the express purpose of providing educationally relevant services. And when there is an opportunity to opt out for registry information, that is communicated. That is including names, address, phone number, and so on and so forth. We also have a media release that we send out that allows people to opt out of their pictures being displayed. With a number of new schedules this year to consider with our partner schools, the Career Center conducted a transportation survey to all parents to gather information about transportation needs, and we worked out all the transportation needs for everybody to be in in-person instruction as much as they possibly could. At that point in time, it was 4 days a week. Number 2, using methods to collect, reviewing, and transmitting and storing student information. All of our student records are maintained according to the best practices and Family Educational Rights to Privacy Act compliance. Hard copies are stored in a fireproof cabinet, and all of our digital and electronic records are password protected. The superintendent should not fail to operate facilities and programs with appropriate accessibility and privacy. We are currently in compliance with all state and federal accessibility and privacy laws. And our safety team, including our school nurse, COVID coordinator, regularly reviewed our health and safety requirements for compliance with the governor's executive orders and the guidance issued by Vermont Agency of Education. Number 4, shall not fail to establish with students and their guardians a clear understanding of what may be expected. All of the services that the Career Center provides are outlined in the handbook, which is on the website, as well as in hard copy. This year, we have kept families and students updated through regular communications related to health and safety, program changes, modifications, and the like. For those families who do not have email or prefer to receive notifications through a hard copy, the center has provided copies in writing and through the postal mail. Currently, there is a non-discrimination statement contained within the student handbook, as well as several resources that are available to students. That is the full monitoring report 2.1.
Are there any questions from board members on policy 2.1? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve policy 2.1, treatment of students?
I'll move that.
Second.
It's been moved by Mike and seconded by Lorraine to approve policy 2.1, treatment of students. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Policy 2.2, treatment of staff. Is that also you, Dana, or is Jay taking that?
Yes, that was a joint effort this year. It's longer than usual. Once again, I won't go through the entire document because you have that in front of you, but I mentioned again the changing guidelines and guidance from the Agency of Education. We provided training at the beginning of the school year. We had a reopening team that was formed that include members of the administration's facilities department, professional and support staff. That reopening team eventually merged with our safety team, and we have conducted joint meetings since then. The collaboration and cooperation exhibited by this group has enabled the Career Center to offer 4 days of in-person instruction since September 8th, and we recently returned to 5 days a week on, I think it was May 5th. No, it was the April 28th, sorry. The complete documentation related to our enhanced health and safety practices has been communicated to all members of the Career Center faculty, staff on a regular basis through emails and weekly updates. The superintendent and the director of school business and finance periodically review provisions within the collective bargaining agreement to make sure that we are consistently applying it and for clarity of expectations. Superintendent shall not operate without written administrative procedures that clarify rules for staff, provide effective handling of grievances, and protect against wrongful conditions. All employees are provided with a copy of the collective bargaining agreement. Each professional staff member is provided a copy of the teacher's handbook, and all professional staff members are expected to review the handbook annually and sign acknowledgement that they understand the contents. We now have an online version. We've had it for the last couple of years, and that serves as the main vehicle for making updates and keeping staff aware of changing procedures. The leadership team has undertaken tasks of reviewing and updating job descriptions as part of our NEASC decennial visit. That's been important since many job descriptions had not been updated in several years, and in some cases, a decade or more. The central office provides orientation to new substitutes, volunteers, and staff. And The administration and central office strive to apply all processes and procedures equitably and treat staff in a respectful and responsible manner. With respect to that, the administrative leadership, Jay and I, meet regularly with the association leadership. That's Aaron and Larry O'Connor from ACSD. And we've done that pretty much monthly over the course of the last year. We had 11 matters that were raised this year, of which 8 have been resolved. One concern is currently being addressed jointly. One was addressed through a formal grievance process, and one is still open due to the interpretive nature of the matter. When looking at matters that arose in the previous year, 2019-2020, 8 other concerns were addressed by the administration and association leadership. All of those matters were considered resolved by the time the group met in September of 2020. Overall, this collaborative group has identified 19 matters in the course of the last 2 years, of which 17 were resolved or otherwise addressed. That's about 90%. One is being explored through a collaborative process, and one is still open due to a question of interpretation. The superintendent shall not intentionally violate the terms of either the staff or teacher master agreement. The director of school business management and finance and the superintendent strive to be proactive in establishing a process for communicating regarding issues that may have implications for collective bargaining. The new director of school business management and finance has implemented a number of new procedures that have been clearly communicated to staff through regular email communications. No terms of the collective bargaining agreement have been intentionally violated during the course of this reporting period. Superintendent shall not violate any state or federal employment law or allow conditions to exist that would violate such laws. As of this report, information that we have received from the state of Vermont and Department of Labor indicate that we are in good standing with respect to all employment law provisions and regulatory compliance requirements. In fact, a year ago in January, PAHCC scheduled a voluntary employment audit with the Vermont Department of Labor. No violations have arisen during that entire time. Not that we had any before that, but it's good to just cite the fact that we had the proactive visit and we are in good standing. And we are an equal opportunity employer, and we participate in anti-harassment, non-discrimination training each year. Superintendent shall not discriminate against any staff member for non-disruptive expression of dissent. The administration and leadership team at the Career Center have striven to cultivate an environment that emphasizes cooperation and collaboration and supports proactive engagement for expressing productive opinions and reflective contributions. In fact, this year, the administration collaborated with the leadership of the Addison County Educators Association, rephrasing this from earlier, and the HCC Teachers Unit, and crafted and distributed a leadership survey to all employees at the Career Center to gather feedback for growth in the 10 leadership domains that are outlined in the Vermont Leadership Standards, listed on pages 23 through 34 in that document. I've included a link on your digital copy. The purpose of this partnership was to help build trust among the staff and identify areas of growth for the administrative leadership. Superintendent and the assistant director have been reviewing the feedback, and to help set targets and growth for educational leadership practices. Let's see, what else do I have? We try to be proactive in taking measures to address conditions that provide for the safety, health, and respectful working environment. And when needed, we issue both verbal and written guidance for operating procedures. The superintendent shall not allow teacher staff to be unprepared to deal with emergency situations. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we had a reopening committee to address the needs that were identified in compliance with the governor's guidance on the safe and healthy practices that we would need to put in place in order to open school. And those also were aligned with the Vermont Agency Education's guidelines. The team worked all summer to prepare for the return to school. I think I reported about that in previous board reports, so that the people could return in safe and effective in-person instruction. This team eventually merged, as I mentioned earlier, with the safety team, and they meet jointly monthly. In addition, we continue to meet monthly, and we've made several presentations to the faculty and staff. We continue to conduct drills, oftentimes in collaboration with MUHS. And we continue to apply for grants to upgrade safety and security materials and equipment. The safety team also continues to meet with first responders. We've met at least twice this winter, and we had one coordinated meeting very recently where we conducted a tabletop exercise for our professional development in service on Wednesday, May 5th. That was well received, and we got some very positive comments. I think I mentioned this in my board report from the participants from our first responders. Sorry about the length of that particular report, and I did shorten it, so I didn't read everything, but that is a complete report on the treatment of teachers and staff that I can render at this point in time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve policy 2.2, treatment of staff?
So moved.
Oh, second.
I'll second it.
Oh, whatever.
We'll let Judd take this one since he's joined us. Judd has, it's been moved by Judd and seconded by Steve to approve policy 2.2, treatment of staff. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand for aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Corporate resolutions, I'm going to guess it's Austin.
That is correct. So the first one on the list on the agenda is the revenue anticipation note. That's our line of credit renewal. So I've been in touch with the Bank of Middlebury, and we'll have documentation available for next month's meeting in June. The authorization of invoice payments is the 2-pager. There's a memo on the second page from me, and the first page starts with I, Suzanne Buck, Board Chair, certify. So essentially that is an annual resolution we looked at last year about this time. And it's essentially giving or identifying the board members who are integrally involved in the review process of accounts payable and any expenditures. So the halfway down the first page, it lists the board members who are authorized to review the payments, and we need a combination of 2 board members at the minimum. And then at the bottom is where you, Suzanne, would certify after that, with the treasurer and the clerk attesting as well. That's the first corporate resolution. Do you want to continue on to the next one, Suzanne, or?
Let's do one at a time, please. That way we don't get confused.
Okay. Are there any questions about this one in particular? Dana?
Austin, just a clarification. I believe that what we need to do is identify those people tonight, then we will complete the form and submit it. But I believe we need to have a motion to approve those people that are willing to serve in that capacity.
Great.
I believe in the past, or at least this past year, Missy's name has been on there, Nick's name, my name, and I think Judd was on there, maybe?
It was Sean.
Yeah, I think Sean was, and he
Okay, Sean.
stepped out given his departure.
Okay. So we can either do a motion that puts all board members' names on here, and as long as 2 go in on a consistent basis, or the board can opt to do a motion and just put however many they want names on this list. What's your thoughts, board? Anyone? Wow, you're also quiet tonight.
It's not a bad idea putting everybody's name on, then somebody could cover at any given time.
And that has had to happen. I mean, I haven't been able to do them all the time. Nick's out of town, so he wasn't able to do them this time around. So it's always good to have backup. Judd?
I was just wondering then, I agreed with her assessment and your assessment there showed, or should we just have a motion? Or should I just make a motion then that everybody's name gets on there? I'd like to move that everybody on the school board has their name put on the, what do we call it? The corporate resolution so that any two members may review it.
May I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Judd and seconded by Christina to place all board members' names on the corporate resolution, knowing that every time the bills are approved, you need to have two members from that group. Is there any discussion on that?
Yes, no, I just
Judd?
moved it. I'm wondering how in any given month shall we decide which two members would do it? Are there going to be two priority members, and then if they're out of town, it would fall onto the next two?
Yeah, Jed, typically Suzanne and Nick have been the go-tos. As Nick has been out this week, Missy was really great in stepping in and helping out. So I'd say 90% of the time, Nick and Suzanne take it. And then in the oddball month or week, we just ask others to step in.
Great, thank you.
We ran into something last year with this and we went around with it a little bit.
Sorry, Mike, I didn't understand you.
Sorry, we did this last year too, and we ended up keeping it the same as it was. Does anybody remember why we did that? I don't exactly. Is Nick's not here today?
Nick's not here. I think he's in Florida. I'm not positive.
There was some
I
reason-
think Nick's concern was around the wording on the resolution, which I understand that Austin worked on, I think with Nick after the last year's board meeting.
Yeah, this would have predated my arrival, but I do remember Gibson. This was one of his last efforts before he left.
I can clarify, I think, Suzanne. There was some awkward wording that made it less than clear. That was all clarified. We did have a discussion, as Mike just pointed out, about the purpose of having everyone named or just having a select number. What we ended up doing was 4 because we figured we could cover it with 4, and some board members might not be available to do that. But we worked out all of the language. It was just around the time that Austin was getting onboarded, and you accepted the resolution and the language that currently exists in June. And at that point in time, the board's pleasure was to identify 4 members. That way we would have enough. I think, Mike, to your point, the idea was that we needed to have at least enough people to be able to make it functional, and the business office needed the reliability of knowing who was basically going to be the primary point person. So I think that was what the whole discussion was, and the board settled on 2 primary and 2 secondary. So.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Isn't typically like the primary people, the people that are on the finance committee that review the bills and orders, generally speaking?
That is the way it's kind of sugared out lately, is that, those that come in and do the bills are normally or have been on the budget and policy committee.
Or facilities.
Or facilities, because Missy's on facilities.
Great, thanks.
We do have a motion on the table that has been on the floor that has been moved and seconded to place all board members' names on the corporate resolution, and knowing that we need to have 2 at every time to approve the bills. What is your pleasure? Any more discussion, I should say? No, okay, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion that's on the table, please raise your hand.
All right.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. So Austin, I'll come in. Maybe I can come in Friday and sign this.
Okay, great. And then we would need to get Jane and Linda to sign as well. But I can
Yeah.
help coordinate that.
Okay.
So the final resolution is another 2-pager. This one essentially outlines the different checking accounts we have or bank accounts. The majority of them are with the National Bank of Middlebury. And so the first page just outlines which accounts we have and the number of signatories. You'll notice if you compare this against the last year's listing, the McClure checking account we had with the National Bank of Middlebury is not listed, and that's because that bank account has been closed. The grant finished, and that account has been closed out due to inactivity. So the first page details the accounts that we have and who is authorized to sign off on them. And then the second page is where Suzanne, you and Jane would sign off with the certification of authority. And at the bottom, it lists the individuals who are authorized to sign checks on those accounts.
So you would be looking for a motion just to approve the corporate resolution with the authorized signatures as noted? Is that what you're looking for?
Correct. Yep. The only updates really are the removal of the McClure checking account, and the dates have been updated.
May I have a motion to approve the corporate resolution with the signers authorized signatures by position and title on this account, on these accounts?
Steve,
Steve has moved it. Lorraine has seconded it. Is there any discussion?
just a point about the agenda. In the consent agenda, the McClure grant was still listed. And I know we didn't update that number, probably because it doesn't exist anymore. Might just correct that for the official minutes. If I'm reading that right.
Yes, you are, Steve. So that's a great observation. So I think for the minutes and for next month, we'll make sure to remove the McClure grant listing.
Okay, it was listed on the agenda, but not on the actual accounts that were read and approved.
That's correct.
Right.
We'll ask Patrice to remove that from future agendas.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the corporate resolution based on signatures by position title for the various accounts, please raise your hand for aye. Any opposed? Raise. Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Staffing FY21, the construction technology instructor.
Yes, that's me, Suzanne. We are bringing forward Nick Cantrick, who is currently serving as a long-term substitute, and I put his application, or not application, excuse me, his resume in the board packet for this month. Nick has been serving very faithfully in that role and has done exceptionally good work with the students, particularly as they have worked on the tiny house project that is currently under construction. If you get a chance, drive by and you can see it in the bus barn out back. We had to move it from the construction tech lab to the bus barn, given the size of the door and it being able to be accommodate the the tiny house. Nick has been great to work with. I've observed him myself, given him some feedback, and I find personally that he's got all of the characteristics that we would look for. We did conduct a search, and we did have interviews, and we had a small team, including Jay and a student and myself, and we interviewed Nick, and he was the only viable candidate that applied for the position. And even if he hadn't been, he probably would have risen to the top as the candidate that we would like to bring to the board. So it is with great pride that we offer Nick as a full-time permanent instructor for the FY22 school year.
Do I have a motion?
Can't
from
hear
the
you,
board?
Suzanne.
Do I have a motion from the board to accept or to, yes,
Accept
to
the
accept the
nomination, hire
to
Nick.
accept the recommendation of Nick Cantrek as construction technology instructor, full-time, permanent, moving forwards?
I'll move that.
Mike, was that you? It's been moved by Mike, seconded by Judd, to approve the recommendation of Nick Cantrek for the construction technology instructor, full-time, moving forward. Is there any discussion?
Suzanne, does that contract start July 1st or like today?
July 1st.
July 1st. So Dana, he will stay as a long-term sub, is that?
That's the way it was outlined in the initial job posting and the contract which he received. So this is a position for FY22. It is not for FY21.
Okay. Thank you. Lorraine?
So just a point,
Well, wait a minute. I've got two of you. Can I have Lorraine and then you, Steve? Lorraine?
Okay, yeah, I apologize because I get confused with the necessary credentials for Career Center instructors. I know he has a Bachelor of Arts, but does he have to, is he taking, or does he have to have some sort of actual teaching credentials? And is he going to be doing that, or?
He's already enrolled in the program for the summer because he had to apply for and be granted a apprenticeship license for this year. So that's already in the works, and he's been in contact with the instructor at VTC who will be offering that program. So that's already been planned for.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Stephen?
my only point was just that the agenda says staffing FY21.
My typo. I was the one who actually typed that. I can't blame that one on Patrice. So it should have been 22.
All right.
Thank you. Mike, did you have something to say, or?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Where were we? I think we were, so that's all the discussion. Is there any more discussion on the motion? Seeing no hands raised, we will move to vote on the motion to approve Nick Cantrek as construction technology instructor, full-time permanent FY22, which is a correction from the agenda that states FY21. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Missy, your thumb is still up. Are you opposed or are you going for it?
No, that's in favor of.
Okay, thank you.
There's a little
Motion's
bit of a
passed.
delay on the emoticons.
Okay. All hands were up, so there's no one against and there were no abstentions. And then other, which would be then the correspondence from Hayden
Yes.
And can you reread again or tell us exactly what Hayden is looking for us so we can make sure we have the motion correct?
I'll read the appropriate sentences that pertain. I should be able to tie up these loose ends in the course of a semester, but leave the length of unpaid leave to your discretion. A semester or full year would be much appreciated. In other words, I think he's saying that he can conclude the work that he, or whatever his loose ends that he was intending to get done between January and June this year as a part-time instructor between the summer and the end of next first semester. But he's leaving up to the board's discretion as to whether they want to grant a half year or a full year of leave.
So question, if we give him a year leave and if he says he has everything done by December,
Yep.
can he come back? Or how would that work?
If you grant him a leave for a year and there is a position for which he would be eligible, we could certainly call him back. Yes.
Okay.
If you
Lorraine?
grant him a leave for a semester, that would just require, planning for him to come back in the second half, and we would have to look at our coverage in a way that would accommodate that.
Okay. Lorraine?
Yeah, my concern is if we do, we're gonna have to hire somebody. And if we gave them a year, we would be hiring somebody for a year. I mean, it wouldn't be a long-term sub. Even a half a year, it wouldn't be a long-term sub, would it? And also.
Half a year would be a long-term sub, yes.
Okay. I'm also wondering, would it be more difficult to fill the position for a half a year? Would somebody be less likely to take that job as opposed to being guaranteed a full year's position?
There are a number of factors that are currently still in play. And at this point in time, Jay and I have done a review of all of the potential scenarios. And unless he would say otherwise, we think that we can cover whatever the board would approve, because we are currently looking for a full-time instructor for automotive technology.
In addition to Hayden's job?
We had 1.5 instructors for
Right.
instruction technology.
Yeah.
We currently have Hayden, who's operating full-time, and we have an aide who's working part-time to cover that.
Dana, you mean automotive, not construction technology?
Yeah, I was gonna say not.
I'm sorry. I meant auto tech.
And the aide was to replace Paul's position?
Hayden actually assumed Paul's position. And since Hayden has been a long-time instructor here, we advertised for both a construction tech, an automotive tech instructor, as well as an automotive aide to see what we would get. We got an aide and we were able to make that work. So our numbers were such that we were in compliance with Department of Labor and AOE guidelines for number of students in an automotive technology program.
Okay, I mean, I guess I certainly want to support Hayden in giving him any time he feels he needs. But if he's unsure of how much time he needs, I just want to make sure that we don't hamper ourselves as far as.
We are currently looking for a full-time instructor, which would be the equivalent of Paul, which means that Hayden would be coming back as a part-time instructor.
Okay.
And with the flexibility that we have, Jay and I believe that we can meet those needs, however you decide to rule on or take action on Hayden's request.
Okay, so how would we make that motion?
Well, Lorraine, Mike's got something to say too.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to hog the conversation. Apologize.
Mike?
No, Dana might have answered the question. I didn't think we actually had an auto instructor at this time, other than I did see Hayden there when I went there.
Yeah.
So basically, if he's done now, we basically don't have one. Who can I ask who the aide is? I don't think I knew.
David Carpenter. He's a former employee of the Career Center several years ago.
All right, so, but we still need a full-time instructor.
Next year,
Yeah, okay.
not now.
So Hayden is staying through the end of the year.
That is correct.
And then starting after July 1 is what
That's
he's
correct.
asking.
He's asking for the 21-22 school year.
And he's willing to come back as a part-time instructor if we find a full-time instructor?
That's correct, because he was part-time.
Okay.
Several years ago, he made a proposal to take a part-time position so that we could advertise and hire a full-time instructor. And he would be willing to come back under the same conditions.
Okay. Thank you.
Christina?
So two things. I'm unclear. Does Hayden want the full year or not? Or does he want the 6 months? And then second, what's the best approach student-wise? Like which answer serves the students the best?
So I'll answer the first question and then the second question. The first question is, he thinks he only needs a semester, but he's willing to take the year if that is what the board believes is easiest. What I'm saying is that we have run the math, we've run the configuration of what the personnel requirements would be, and we believe that either option could be made to work with no detriment to the students. Because if we are hiring a instructor for a half-time position for 1 year, the likelihood that we would find somebody is relatively small. So we would probably go with a configuration of an instructor and an aide.
And Dana, you said you're actually hiring a full-time person for this next year, right? Okay.
Correct.
Just want to be clear.
We're hiring a full-time person because we had 1.5 instructors. And after conversations both with Hayden and with Jay, we think that we can make either one of these work. It's entirely your preference.
Stephen, did you take your mic off or put your mic on so you could say something?
Me?
Steve?
Oh, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion that we do a semester, because if that's all it takes and it works either way, then why not be just financially prudent about it?
Okay, do I have a second to the motion to approve Hayden for a 1 semester unpaid leave? Mike has seconded. So we have a motion on the table to approve Hayden for a 1 semester unpaid leave. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed.
Thank you. I will notify Hayden tomorrow of the board's decision. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We are slightly behind, folks. Policies for action. The 2 policies that are requiring a motion to adopt are the board superintendent relationship and public complaints about personnel.
Let me just comment briefly about these, and then anybody on the Budget and Policy Committee can certainly chime in. This was an oversight. These two policies were actually on our slate of policies to go before the board in April, and they were just inadvertently omitted from the board agenda and from your packet. So these have already been reviewed in March, and they're coming for the second reading and for you to be able to take action this evening.
I think the only thing I noticed was just the little highlighted part that I think you also noticed of replacing the generic institution with actual career center in public complaints about personnel, a couple paragraphs down. I'll try to find it.
Yeah.
I think you already
Appeal
have.
to the board.
Since we are a school in a district, I left that language in. I did highlight that, but it is the school and the district are one and the same, so I left that language in. It could be read as generic, but it also can be read as our school and district. So if you'd like me to change that, I will be happy to do so.
No, I think that is just as legit. I just wanted to bring that up because I saw that it was highlighted and it's one of those things that I would easily miss. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion around those two policies? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the board superintendent relationship policy and the public complaints about personnel policy? Lorraine has moved it. Do I have a second? Judd has seconded. So there's a motion on the table to adopt the board superintendent relationship policy and the public complaints about personnel policy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Those policies have been approved. The next two policies, the board meetings, agenda preparation and distribution, and the public participation at board meetings, which are both first reads. And if everyone's happy, we would then rewarn them for adoption at our next meeting. Did everyone get a chance to look them over? And if so, is there any conversation or concerns about any of them?
Motion before discussion, Suzanne?
Excuse me?
Do you want to have someone make a motion before the discussion?
We can do that. We have a motion. Lorraine? And then do I have a second? Mike? We have a motion to
Warren.
to warn the two policies, public participation of board meetings and the board meetings agenda preparation and distribution. Is there any discussion? Did we miss anything? Any typos in here or something that this would be a good time to let us know?
I think we covered most of those at the last budget and policy meeting, but I'll let you chime in on that.
Yeah. So
Hold on.
hearing and seeing no hands raised to have a conversation, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving those to warn them, please say aye or raise your hand. Any abstentions? I mean, any no's, and then any abstentions? Motion's passed. Informational agenda. There's quite a bit in the reports. Does anybody have any questions on any of the reports? Hi, Kim.
Howdy doody.
Joined us just in time for reports.
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess I would just chime in that I really appreciate the reports, and they really, they're thorough and really give us a lot of information about what's happening at the Career Center. And I've been able to share that with my board and Addison Northwest. And I feel like everybody's getting a lot more information about the Career Center, especially about the students and the adult learners there. So thank you.
I'd like to add, Jay's report was short, but the link there that linked to the walls going up on the tiny house is pretty exciting to see. The energy just from the pictures seemed like it was all there, so that was kind of neat to see. And so thanks for that report, Jay, and the link to those pictures. I think that was yours.
It was. It's his.
I'll just add,
Missy?
if I can add to that, Suzanne, just a lot of other people contributed to the newsletter this time, so it's great. I think we're getting into kind of a flow of, hey, I have this exciting thing going on in my program. Let's highlight it in some way. And that one was even actually written by a student. So good stuff.
Missy? And then I think Kim, you had your hand up.
Did you say Missy? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. Thank you. So it is in the facilities report, but I think it's worth highlighting because it's a big deal, is the progress on the possible bond project. And just following up to let everyone know that we did go back to EEI to get more information about option A, option B, and if we were to go with option B, plus some of the add-ons that were outlined, how would that work? And is it as simplistic as we want to add asbestos abatement as an example, or are there added costs for that? And so they specifically called out the asbestos abatement and gave us kind of an idea of what that would cost if we were to add the full scope, like completely abate. And that figure is in the minutes. And so where we're at right now is EEI would need to be re-engaged in the early fall for them to understand what we want to move forward with. And we're hoping to wait until then so that possibly we get more information on construction aid and or any grants that might be available. So that's where we are with that.
And Dana, at that last facilities meeting, I was there, but the minutes don't reflect that. So I don't know who was the minute taker last time around. Just a small piece.
Yep.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, I can attest that you were there. So I'll own that because I was the one who reviewed the minutes last, and I knew you were there, and I somehow spaced out that you weren't listed. So my apologies.
That's all right. The imaginary Suzanne then asked a question on the back end of the meeting.
Right.
The other thing that I want to say that I think is really cool is the Collins Aerospace, the collaboration that's going on between the Career Center and Collins Aerospace. They are one of, or they are the largest employer in the county. And it's really great that we're working on a relationship with them. And I can only see good things coming out of that.
Thanks.
So, and I will have to go back to the tiny house. I work with a student in my other life, and he's a member of that class that's working on the tiny house. And every time we get together, he tells me a little bit more about the tiny house and how much he is enjoying the process and watching it come to fruition. So from a student's point of view, he's enjoying the process. So.
Thank you.
Suzanne, can you see our hands up? Kim
Mike,
did not have our hands up.
Oh, no, sorry. Kim, and then Christina, and then Mike.
I want to say a really positive thing about the Facebook page. Really get a lot of compliments in New Haven about that page as we share it around town. And maybe a few more pictures regarding the tiny house and what you're doing there, because it's just another format that people seem to use a lot, along with Front Porch Forum. People do pay attention to that site a lot. Thank you.
Can you put pictures on Front Porch Forum?
You could put a link, I think.
Oh, okay. Just didn't know. I don't, Mike maybe, or Christina, I don't remember who I said was next, sorry.
Actually, just have a question for Dana. Who should I refer people to that want some people from the auto tech program as apprenticeship or co-ops?
Say your question again, Mike. I didn't hear the beginning part of your question.
Who should I refer people to that want co-ops from the auto tech?
Len Schmidt,
But
who's our co-op coordinator.
who is that?
Len?
Oh, Len. So he's not just for the adult. He's doing that.
No. In fact, David, they split the roles. Len is now just focusing on co-op exclusively, and David is focusing on adult. Both.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Len's excited about putting people into co-ops. So, and we're going to be doing something with potential summer co-ops this year. So that's an exciting addition.
Yeah, just one last quick thing. I just wanted to publicly say what a bummer it is that the tech centers are not getting ESSER funds. And I wish that that was not the case. Thank you.
So Christina, I'll have more to report next month, but there's a core group of us that are actually working with the legislators and with the AOE on this particular conundrum. So I'll let you know that I was on a couple of meetings today and that it's in the forefront of their minds with respect to what our needs are, and they are listening. So we will see how that gets resolved. But thank you for that.
Great. Is there anything we can do, Dana, as board members, help push that along?
At this point in time, I don't think so, because they have all of the information that they need. Honestly, I got the sense today that some people are feeling inundated and they're saying, we've got this, we need some time to work things out. I will say that I have a meeting with a small group of us and Dan French to actually go over what that might look like in the next week to 10 days. So I should be able to provide some type of an update, certainly by the next board meeting, but maybe in the interim. I'll have to wait to see I don't want to report on things that are in the works. I'd rather report on things that are concrete. But I do know, based on my meetings today, that there are several groups that are working on this, and they, as you have pointed out as board members, are disappointed that this was an oversight. It's something that happens to CTE with some degree of regularity. So we're working diligently to reverse that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or thoughts around the reports to the board? Dana?
I just want to point out, since MCTV is here, that we are in our third round of lead testing and lead testing abatement. And we should have that final draw and submission by the end of this month. And we're expecting, given all of the mitigation measures that John Curler and the facilities team have implemented, to have all of our taps pass this final assessment. So I just wanted to let you know that we are working diligently on that. Third time we're hoping is a charm. Thank you.
Great, thank you. If there are no more questions or comments about any of the reports, I'd like to move into the other portion. Piece is called Other. It's related to board operation, and underneath that is board retreat date and agenda. We were thinking June sometime, but we would like more feedback from the board. Doesn't necessarily have to be tonight. You can all email me with thoughts or pieces, and then next month we can nail down a date. Or I'll do a doodle poll. Christina?
Well, just early June would be good. Sometime those first 2 weeks, maybe.
What time of day are we looking at?
Really, I mean, last year, or the last time we did one, I think we did like we extended the board meeting, and so we had a very brief board meeting up front, and then we did the retreat afterwards. So I think we went to 8 o'clock, maybe.
I think that's right.
So you're thinking an evening?
Yeah, I'm thinking, Mike.
I think June at the regular board meeting, the same way we did it last time, worked fairly well.
Okay. Is everyone else okay with if we do it at the regular board meeting in June? Okay.
That's June 9th, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
I think so.
And
Yeah,
will,
it is.
will we have a special focus at our retreat, or is it, you guys are working, still talking about that, or is just?
We're willing to take suggestions. I've given Dana a couple of them already that people have given me. So the list is just kind of there as a list. Okay, but so if people have thoughts of, wow, we really need to revisit this, or I really want to learn more about this, send it to myself and Dana, and we'll see how much we can put into that time that's not feeling overwhelmed, and making sure that it's a really good use of your time and not a waste of it. Okay. Policy 4.1. Steve, would you like to take a crack at it?
Sure. I thought the meeting was very well run, very efficient. I thought the reporting was excellent. And forward thinking.
Great, thank you. I'll remind everyone before I take a motion to go into executive session that there are upcoming meetings that are listed on the bottom of your agenda. There's the dates for community engagement, budget and policy, facilities, and the next board meeting is on there. That being said, may I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of negotiations and personnel?
So moved, Judd.
Well, Mike has his hand up first, so I'll take you as a second. How's that, Judd?
Okay, that's fair.
It was moved by Mike, seconded by Judd, to go into executive session for the purpose of negotiations and personnel. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Is there going to be a new link for that? Are we going into a different room? How are we navigating into executive session?
I believe there is a room set up for us, or at least that's what Patrice and I talked about this morning.
Thank you.
She's not talking to me. Patrice?
Yes, I will put you in a breakout room right now.
Thank you. Wait a minute, let us vote, Patrice. All those in favor of going into executive session, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are moving into executive session at 6:16. Linda, if we come out of executive session with anything that needs to, any motions or whatnot, we will get that to you, as well as the ending time of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Patrice, tell us where to go.
Oh, my.